I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the contestants of series 18 of Taskmaster, and this is going to be my kind of like task masterclass video that I've done a few times about the contestants. So overall what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about each contestant individually, if I knew them, what I knew them from, and things that I would perhaps recommend if you wanted to get to know them before series 18 of Taskmaster, which I'm expecting to be around like September, October, because that's kind of what it was last year. So if they follow the same pattern, I'm thinking, yeah, like mid-September for the next series. This year I knew 3 out of 5 of the contestants, and then there was another contestant who I kind of recognised but didn't really know where he was from, and there is one contestant who is completely new to me. So yeah, I'm really excited. The contestants were revealed after the series 17 finale, which I was really excited about because last time they made us wait ages to find out who the contestants were, whereas this time we found out straight away, which I thought was really nice. So if you haven't seen the announcement and if you're completely new to the series 18 contestants, the contestants are Andy Zaltzman, Babatunde Aleshe, Emma Siddy, Jack D and Rosie Jones, which I think is going to be a fantastic lineup. As I said, I knew 3 out of 5 and they were Emma, Jack and Rosie. And Babatunde I recognise, and I now know where I recognised him from, and Andy Zaltzman is a completely new comedian to me. So we're going to go through the contestants alphabetically, and yeah, I'm going to talk about things that they've been in, things that I'd perhaps recommend them watch, or if they are familiar to you, perhaps where you might know them from. So starting off with Andy Zaltzman, and as I said, I haven't heard of him before, but I have seen loads of people who are fans of him be very excited that he's on and say that, you know, he's going to be really exciting, he's going to be really good. So I'm definitely trusting them and expecting him to be very good as well. I always like being introduced to new comedians, so yeah, I'm very excited to see what he brings. His work is mainly in the kind of like the stand-up and like the radio podcast world, which makes sense as to why I haven't really seen too much of him, because I definitely focus my attention on like TV, comedy and things like that. So that definitely makes sense as to why I haven't heard of him. His comedy is mainly like political and satirical. He's worked a lot with John Oliver, so they've got kind of like similar styles. So if you like John Oliver's work, then you probably have seen Andy Zaltzman, and I am familiar with John Oliver, but again, more on the kind of TV side rather than like radio and stand-up. In terms of notable work, he hosted a stand-up show for a couple of years called Political Animal, in which they got comedians to come in and perform like political satire, political stand-up in front of a live audience, and this was co-hosted with John Oliver as well. And they've actually worked with a lot of Taskmaster contestants, like a lot of Taskmaster alumni have appeared on this show. So for example, Mark Watson, Russell Howard, Richard Herring, Frankie, Boyle and Paul Sinner. As I mentioned, he works with John Oliver a lot, and another thing that they've done together is host a podcast called The Bugle, which Andy Zaltzman now hosts himself, which is again another political satire and like topical podcast where they talk about things that are going on in the world in like a comedic sense, and they have like comedians come on and talk about it with them. So if you are a fan of like political satire or just satire in general, then this is something that I would definitely recommend. It's not always my sort of thing, which is why I haven't really seen that much of it, and again, I don't tend to listen to like podcasts and radio that much, but yeah, another big thing about him is he is a huge cricket fan, as you can see by his outfit. So I do wonder whether or not they're going to include any like cricket based tasks, or whether that's going to be implemented at some point in the show. I reckon it will be. Like sometimes they do tend to include like a comedian's passion in the tasks in some way, or skill set in the tasks in some way. So if you're a fan of cricket, then you've probably heard him on a number of radio shows and podcasts, and even worked as a scorer at one point as well. So yeah, if you're a fan of cricket, then you probably have heard of him, or at least have heard his voice. So that is a brief overview of some of the things that he's worked on. It's not an exhaustive list of everything he's ever done, and it's mainly working off like recommendations of what other people have said that is good of his, and some of like the most notable things that he's done. As I'm not someone who's that familiar with him, I can't really personally recommend anything, but these are the things that other people have recommended. So next up is Babatunde Aleshe, and again, he wasn't somebody that I was at first like super familiar with. I knew his face, but I couldn't quite place him, but I definitely know where I know him from now. So he's probably most well known for appearing on Celebrity Gogglebox, so he appears alongside Mo Gilligan. So yeah, you've probably seen him on there if you've watched Celebrity Gogglebox. It's not a show that I watch frequently, like I don't follow it, but it's definitely something that I've popped on occasionally, so I've definitely seen him on there. If you're a fan of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, then you probably saw him in the 2022 series, in which he came 7th overall. And this was a series with Matt Hancock. So I know a lot of people didn't watch that series because of him, although a lot of people did watch it because of him as well. So yeah, you may have seen him on there. And again, with celebrities that have been on I'm a Celeb and then appeared on Taskmaster, I do kind of expect them to be quite daring, because I'm a Celeb is is very grueling. It's very you do a lot of horrible things. So it kind of makes me, especially if they get to the 7th position, they're not knocked out immediately, then that definitely gives me the impression that they're willing to kind of push themselves and maybe do some horrible things to win. So maybe we'll see that in Taskmaster as well. Something that I've been watching recently that he's been in is Richard Osman's House of Games. I've really got into the show recently, so I've kind of been going back to the beginning and watching everything. So he's appeared on 2 weeks of the show. So 1 week he has done is Series 5, Week 20, which is his first attempt on the show. And then he appeared in Series 7, Redemption Week 1, because yeah, it's I like the idea of a redemption week. They also do a champions week as well. I like using Richard Osman House of Games to get an idea of contestants, because I feel like in some ways it is quite similar to Taskmaster. I feel like it's just kind of, you get to know the contestants over a full week rather than just one appearance on a panel show here and there. They're on for the whole week, so I feel like you get to know them a bit better. And also it's kind of tricky games and competitive, and it's nice to see how they perhaps act in that environment, and it might give you a good idea on how they act in Taskmaster as well. And it's not always accurate, and sometimes a contestant would do amazingly on House of Games and do terribly on Taskmaster, or vice versa, but I do feel it gives me a good idea of what to expect from them in kind of a panel game show environment. I thoroughly enjoyed him on House of Games, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's like on Taskmaster. So I would definitely recommend watching his House of Games episodes. And on the Redemption Week as well, he was alongside Taskmaster champion Sophie Duker, so I'd highly recommend watching that. As well as doing kind of stand-up panel shows and things like that, he's also an actor, so he's appeared on lots of stage shows and TV shows. So if you've watched EastEnders, he was in a few episodes of that, and in a few episodes here and there of other TV shows, so you might have seen his face on other things as well. But I definitely think I'm a Celeb and Celebrity Gogglebox are things that people will most likely know him from. Next up is Emma Siddy, and I am a big fan of Emma Siddy. I have loved everything that she's been in. If you watch my channel, then you know I'm a massive fan of the BBC sitcom Ghosts, and she's actually appeared in a few episodes of that, playing Kitty's horrible sister Eleanor. So you definitely would know her if you have watched my channel. I've talked about Ghosts a lot on my channel before. So yeah, Emma Siddy, as soon as she was announced, I was immediately super excited for this series. I love it. We have another Ghost alumni on Taskmaster. It's getting up there. None of the main 6 have appeared on it though, but hopefully we'll get there one day. If you would like to give Ghost a try, I've got loads of videos on my channel that I would recommend you watch. There are spoilers in it, so to give you a brief overview, it's about a young couple who inherit a mansion, and following an accident, Alison, the main character, can see the ghosts that inhabit this old mansion, and they just are nuisances, and it's really funny and light-hearted, and I think it's one of the best sitcoms. However, Emma Siddy is probably most well known for appearing in Starstruck, which is another fantastic new comedy, and this was written and created and stars Rose Matafeo, who I'm a massive fan of. So yeah, I'd highly recommend watching it. It's such a brilliant show. It's about Rose's character who has a one-night stand with a famous actor, and it's about them navigating kind of the disparities in fame and money and their relationship, and it's a really good series. There are 3 seasons to it, and it has finished now, but we got the 3 series that told their whole story, so it's really good. I highly recommend. And Emma Siddy plays Rose's best friend, and Al Roberts plays her husband in the show, and they're actually partners in real life as well, which I didn't know, so I think that's really sweet. And Al Roberts actually also appeared in Ghosts, playing another not very nice character as well. So I just find that really interesting. I love all the interlinking between it all. But yeah, it is such a brilliant show, and I highly recommend it. Emma has also appeared on a number of other sitcoms for a few episodes, such as W1A and Black Ops, which Black Ops is a new comedy that I've recently seen. She's only briefly in 2 episodes, but I thought her character was hilarious. So I definitely recommend watching that. And something interesting that I found out about Emma is that her stand-up mainly involves creating a lot of characters, it's a lot of character based. So she creates these wonderful wacky characters and acts out kind of scenes and does comedy in these as these characters. So I'm definitely expecting to see lots of characters in her show, in her attempts at the tasks. So whether that be in any kind of like acting tasks or things where you might have to act things out, then I'm expecting some cool characters from her. Or maybe they might integrate a task that involves them to create a certain character or certain thing. So there's definitely lots of opportunities of her to kind of showcase these characters that she can create. And yeah, I'm very excited for that. And I reckon she can do some pretty good impressions as well. And she actually speaks Spanish. And I know that seems like a weird thing to mention, but they have used Spanish in tasks before, like in series 2 where it said like under the table in one of the tasks. And so that, I think, it could be played in, like maybe they might not know that she speaks Spanish and perhaps you can use that to advantage, or I don't know, like sometimes it comes in helpful knowing another language because they do use languages in certain tasks as well. I absolutely love her like detective Sherlock costume. I think that's very fun. It's definitely my favourite one of this series, like outfit. So yeah, definitely so excited for her. If you would like to get to know her a bit more or just watch something that she's been in before watching Taskmaster, then Starstruck is definitely my best recommendation because she's just in it a lot more than she is with Ghosts, but I do recommend Ghosts as well. Next up is Jack D, and I don't really think I need to tell people about Jack D because he is one of those contestants that has been highly anticipated for a while. People have been like begging for him for ages. He is one of the comedy legends that we get on on Taskmaster every once in a while, and yeah, I think everybody is very excited for him. I'm expecting him to be kind of playing that like, oh, I don't want to be here grumpy persona, which I think is always really fun to have at least one of those characters in like a series of Taskmaster. The contrast between the kind of grumpy demeanour and the very wacky out there tasks and very like enthusiastic contestants is just very funny, and I think it works very well. As I said, he is like a comedy veteran at this point, so he's done loads of things. You have definitely seen him on a number of panel shows, but he has hosted the Jack D show, the Jack D Live at the Apollo, which I didn't actually know was how Live at the Apollo originated, so I thought that was really interesting. And he created and starred in a sitcom called Lead Balloon. He starred in Josh, which was created by Josh Widdicombe, which I have seen, and also created the sitcom Bad Move, which starred Carrie Godliman. So he's worked with a number of previous Taskmaster contestants, which I always enjoy. But something I was quite surprised at that I didn't know was that he actually won Celebrity Big Brother in 2001. Again, Celebrity Big Brother, not quite the same as like I'm a Celeb in terms of the kind of things you have to do, but I do think it definitely is like a test of like your patience and your kind of endurance to get through it, and I think also your likability, because I believe the audience votes on Celebrity Big Brother. I don't really watch it, but yeah, definitely in terms of like likability, and I think everybody's just going to love him. I think he's going to be so good, and I think he's going to get on great with Greg and Alex. I mean, they've worked together before on like panel shows and stuff, I imagine, so yeah, very excited for him. If you haven't seen any of the sitcoms that I've mentioned, then you probably have seen him on panel shows. He's appeared on a ton of panel shows. I can't really give all the specific episodes because he's appeared on loads, but on QI, 8 out of 10 Cats, and Catster's Countdown, Have I Got News for You, Would I Lie to You, and he also hosts the radio show Sorry I Haven't Got a Clue, which is another panel show. Again, I haven't really listened to that because again, I don't really listen to radio that much, but I know that's a really big thing, and I'd heard of it, which is impressive for a radio show for me to hear of it. So I've heard of it. It's very, very popular and very long running. So yeah, he's definitely one of those people that I think everybody would have heard of and everybody is excited for, including myself. I think he's going to be fantastic. Personally, I think his appearances on QI and like 8 out of 10 Catster's Countdown are really good. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking them out. But if you're more of a fan of sitcoms, then perhaps watching one of the sitcoms he created, such as Lead Balloon or Bad Move, would give you a good idea of his comedy style. I do feel like watching sitcoms that are created by the person are a really good idea of their comedy style, their writing ability and things like that. So that's what I would recommend. But also he's got lots of stand-up as well. I've seen some of his stand-up. I think there's ones where he gets like audience members to like text him things. I absolutely loved that. I thought it was so hilarious, and there's tons of clips on YouTube, so definitely recommend checking out his stand-up. It's absolutely hilarious, and he's definitely a comedian that I would like to see live at some point in my life as well. So yeah, highly recommend. He is such a fantastic comedian. And finally is Rosie Jones, and she is a comedian and writer. She has written for like a ton of people and a ton of panel shows, such as Last Leg and Catster's Countdown and Harry Hill's Alien Fun Capsule. So she's been in the comedy scene for a while, but it's only recently, within the past like few years, like 5 years or something, that she's began appearing on these shows as like a comedian contestant. So for example, QI, 8 out of 10 cats, and Caster's Countdown, Hypothetical, The Last Leg, and The Big Fat Quiz of the Year. As she has cerebral palsy, she does a lot of work for disability advocacy. So she has done documentaries about what it's like living with a disability and kind of all the hate that she receives being a person on TV with a disability, and also she's written children's books about living with a disability as well. And I think she's a really great advocate for this, and she talks a lot about all the like issues that she faces being somebody famous with a disability and all the kind of hate that gets thrown at her, which is such a shame. And I feel like I have to mention it, and I really hope Taskmaster fans aren't the people who are going to continue this. But yeah, every single time she appears on like a panel show, and I think particularly Big Fat Quiz of the Year last year or the year before was one of the like most prevalent examples of this, is that she does get a ton of hate every single time she appears on a panel show. It's a bunch of people who either just don't like her and feel like they need to tell her that, or people who are just really ableist or just really horrible people, and they direct all of that negativity onto her. And she has talked about how she's gone to therapy for this because of how much hate that she receives, which I think is just absolutely horrible and unacceptable. Like, you are allowed to not like a comedian or not like a person, but that does not give you the right to send hate to anybody. And I really, really hope that that doesn't happen with Taskmaster, but I know there's going to be a minority that do send her hate for her appearance. A lot of people have been a bit wary of her appearance on Taskmaster. I know I've talked about it like ages ago, I think, in a live stream that I did, because people were thinking about like, oh, would she be good on the show? And a lot of people were worried about kind of like the accessibility things, and perhaps in some of the tasks she might have a disadvantage, which I think has kind of all been proven wrong with the inclusion of Lenny Rush on the New Year's treat. I think all of the kind of attempts that he had, all the tasks that he had, were made accessible or already accessible to him, and they can always make small amendments to tasks if they need to. But yeah, I thought I would mention that now, but yeah, I hate that I have to mention it, but I do feel like it's appropriate to. She does talk a lot about like her disability and kind of the effects it has, and it just always makes me sad when people direct their hate to somebody because of their disability. Like that, it's just absolutely horrible. She also created the show Trip Hazard, in which she goes around the UK with a different comedian each time, and they go to different places and try out different activities and food and things like that, which is always really fun. And again, lots of Taskmaster alumni in this as well. She also hosts a panel game show called Out of Order with Katherine Ryan and Judy Love. I feel like she has like a very like cheeky sense of humour. And she has said, as well as like other comedians, is that because of her disability, she is able to make jokes that other people perhaps wouldn't get away with. So yeah, she's definitely kind of a bit risque with her jokes. And yeah, that's always quite fun. And she's talked a lot about, like, she's got kind of like a long-standing joke with Nish Kumar that he pushes her over every time that they meet, and she actually wrestled him in like a comedy wrestling thing as well. And I did see like an article written as well that was posted on Reddit that she's already messing with Alex, like even before, way before Taskmaster, with that she asked him to go get her something from a bar, and it was something that they weren't supposed to get, but because she asked for it, he went and did it, and he got in trouble for it. So she's already messing with him, so I'm really excited to see how she'll mess with him further in the show. I think she's going to be really great on the show, and I think it is a big step towards just making everything a bit more inclusive. And I definitely feel that we felt that recently with, yeah, as I said, Lenny Rush appearing on Taskmaster as well, and also Chris McCausland appeared on Outsiders, which was hosted by David Mitchell, and obviously he's blind and he managed to compete in all of those activities, and I thought it worked really well. So I definitely hope this is like a step forward in terms of including disabled people more on the more like challengey game shows. So that's all of the contestants for Series 18. In terms of things that I'm looking forward to with the series, I'm loving the nautical theme. I'm excited to see if we have any like kind of like underwatery nautical tasks. And actually in the intro they appeared, they did some filming in like Thorpe Park. So I'm really excited to see how that might come into play, whether they're doing tasks on like a roller coaster or something. That would be really, really funny. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this season. And yeah, I hope all of those kind of shows give you an idea, if you did want to check out certain contestants, what might be a good thing to start with. I do think all of these contestants are going to be really good, and I'm really excited to. I have absolutely no idea who's going to win. I don't have any guesses whatsoever. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what they're all going to be like and how they all work together on the show as well. I've seen a lot of people will be very excited for the combination of Rosie Jones and Jack D, because yeah, he's kind of grumpy and she's very like enthusiastic and silly, so that pairing might be good. And people do think that they'll be paired together on a team, which again, I think would be quite funny. So yeah, I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a great season as always. And I do plan on doing kind of like an episode review every episode. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I'll be able to. I've been very busy, hence the lack of videos recently. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and comment down below who you're most looking forward to this series. And subscribe if you want to see more videos to do with Taskmaster. I'll have some more out for you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!